Good morning. It is currently, I think 11:30. Pretty sure 11:30. But basically, whenever I wake up at 11:30, I feel like my day is ruined because I have wasted so many hours already. And like, no matter how late you wake up, you're still able to get stuff done. Like, there's limits, but you can still do a lot. Okay, we're going to plan out today. So take some time to write down your main priorities for the day. If anyone has any tips on how to store scalpels, that would be greatly appreciated. Because I've had it on my desk for like 2 weeks now, and it's like, it's a hazard. It's bloody sharp, it could do some damage. So if anyone has any tips on storing scalpels, because I don't want to get rid of it because I don't have that many, yeah, just hit me up. The first thing is I'm going to work on a meta-analysis. I have to basically run a lot of 2x2 tables into Stata and create odds ratios or risk ratios depending on the hypothesis. And then I also need to look at effect size, bias. I have calculated that I will need to make about 17 graphs. Hopefully an hour and a bit is enough time. Let's get going. As I was doing the effect size graphs, I started to realize that I had no idea what I was looking for, and I really didn't understand what effect size was supposed to be. From what I discovered, effect size is used to differentiate between our two groups and basically look at them and say, okay, are they different? If they are different, how big is the difference? And are these differences significant? And the way we can do that is by looking at these two populations, plotting them together, and looking for overlap. The bigger the overlap between the two populations, the smaller the difference between them. So what we want to see if we're looking for something statistically significant is we want less overlap, right? We want a bigger difference between the two populations so we can confidently say, yep, there's a difference between, you know, having this risk factor or not having this risk factor. And effect size is basically just a numerical representation of that. So the bigger the effect size, the bigger the difference, or the less that these populations overlap. So in terms of progress, I'm still doing the graphs because I kind of realized that the code that I had with data, I don't even know what I was doing. Like, I was just kind of copy and pasting code from my supervisor's notes and like putting it together and thinking that would spit out the correct graphs. But I kind of like kept getting the same error for every single hypothesis, which led me to believe that it must be my code. Okay, so I'm done with all my graphs. It is 2:50. I now have an hour to go out into the sun, throw a little bit, run a little bit, just do my rehab, and then I have question time with my friend Julia. I've been really productive and like I've just learnt a lot. I'm embarrassed to take a camera to a park. I feel like that's just so extra. So let's not do that. Alright, it is time for my study session with my friend Julia. The way that these study sessions with Julia work is that we've basically got a manual from Medevac, and that basically has a list of like every single disease you could need to know for our exams. Once a week we divvy up the diseases. There's different learning objectives and we'll say, okay, you do these two, I'll do these two. We spend the week preparing. Usually it's like a last minute preparation thing. And then we spend like 3 hours on a call peer teaching. It's been so helpful. So I just showered. I'm feeling a little bit tired, so I'm gonna pour myself a tea. It is 7:17 and so it is time to get some marking done, and for that I use my work iPad. I usually teach classes and it's kind of hard to gauge whether every single student is on board, but when you're looking at their papers, you know, there's nowhere to hide. I remembered that I actually had to work on an online video just to teach different types of spectrophotometry, so I went ahead and I made a worksheet for that and I recorded that in one go. I think I just want to end off this vlog with a little chat about being in lockdown and feeling like you're wasting your time and like it's too late to get stuff done. This is probably like the second time that we've had this kind of longer extended lockdown. If you're like me, your priorities have definitely changed. In the first lockdown, I was just online learning, so all I had to do was just show up to routine classes and like get my work done. And I think when your uni or your school provides structure and like routine, that's great. That's brilliant. Like, you might not have issues with, you know, sticking to that and being productive, but if you're like me and you're, you know, in a research year or just in a year where you don't have a lot of routine, I think a lot of what you need to do is kind of split up your time into the priorities. So what I mean by priorities is like pick and choose the spheres of your life that you care about. For me right now, it's my research, it's my learning of medicine, it's my rehab and my sport, those two go together. It's my work as a tutor, and it's also my future as a doctor and my career development. Today I worked on 4 of those main priorities, knowing that I have those goals, and I also committed to people. Every single one of these things that I mentioned, you know, set me up for success. Even though I woke up super late, I didn't get out of bed until 12. Waking up so late, it's easy to give up and to just assume that the day is wasted, but hopefully this video is a good example of what you can achieve despite setting yourself back at the start. And don't let a cycle of poor sleep and waking up late hold you back from doing really cool things.